There are days when the world asks too much from you. Days when your smile feels heavy, and your silence says more than words ever could. My love, I see it. I see the strength you carry like armor, even when it's slowly breaking you inside. You've been strong for everyone, for everything, for so long. But tonight, just for a moment, you don't have to be. Because behind that strength, there's a heart that's tired, a soul that's been holding on, even when it wanted to let go. And if no one has told you this lately, you don't always have to fight. You don't always have to pretend you're okay. I'm here not to ask you to be stronger, but to remind you that even the strongest hearts deserve to rest, my love. You've been carrying so much, for so long, that even silence has started to feel loud inside you. I see the way you hold yourself together when everything inside you is asking for just one moment to fall apart. I see the way you smile, not because you feel okay, but because you don't want anyone to worry. And maybe no one has noticed, or maybe they have, but they've grown used to you being the strong one. The one who never breaks, the one who always shows up. The one who fixes everything, even when you're falling apart yourself. And that's the part that hurts me the most. Because somewhere along the way, you forgot that you're human too. You've been strong for everyone. For your family. For your friends. For the people who needed you when they were lost. But tell me, who has been strong for you? Who sat beside you when your thoughts became too heavy to carry alone? Who held your hand when your world felt like it was quietly collapsing? Who looked into your eyes and said, "You don't have to pretend with me. Because I know the truth." You've been fighting battles that no one can see. You've learned how to hide your pain so well that even when you're breaking, it doesn't show. You've mastered the art of saying, "I'm fine," even when your heart is whispering something completely different. And maybe, just maybe, you've been strong for so long that you don't even know how to stop anymore. It's like your heart forgot what rest feels like. Every day you wake up, and you put on that invisible armor again. You tell yourself you have to keep going, because people are counting on you, because life doesn't pause, because you don't want to disappoint anyone. But my love, who told you that you always have to be the strong one? Who made you believe that your pain has to wait, just because others need you? Strength isn't supposed to feel like this. It isn't supposed to feel like drowning quietly, while everyone thinks you're swimming just fine. And yet here you are, still holding everything together. Still giving your energy, your time, your heart. Even when there's barely anything left for yourself. I can see the tiredness in your eyes. The kind that sleep can't fix. Because it's not your body that's exhausted. It's your soul. It's the weight of always being okay. It's the pressure of never letting anyone see you fall. It's the loneliness of being everyone's support while having no one to lean on. And I really wish, someone had told you earlier that you don't have to live like this. You don't have to earn your worth by suffering in silence. You don't have to prove your strength by hiding your pain. You don't have to carry everything alone. Because even the strongest people need someone who understands the parts they don't show. You've been there for so many people. Listening, supporting, holding them together. But somewhere in between, you started ignoring your own voice. The voice that says, "I'm tired." The voice that says, "I need a break." The voice that whispers, "I can't keep doing this alone." And instead of listening to it, you pushed it down, again and again, until it became a quiet ache inside your chest. But I hear it. I hear the things you don't say out loud. I feel the weight you pretend isn't there, and I want you to know. You don't have to hide it anymore. Not here, not with me, because I don't see you as someone who has to be strong all the time. I see you as someone who has been strong for too long, without a break. There's a difference. Strength isn't about never breaking. It's about surviving even when you do. And you've survived so much already, more than people realize. More than you ever talk about. You've faced moments that could have destroyed you. And yet you're still here. Still trying, still caring, still loving even when it hurts. And that is something no one can take away from you. But even the strongest souls need a place to rest. You weren't meant to carry the world on your shoulders forever. You weren't meant to silence your pain just to make others comfortable. You weren't meant to be unbreakable, because being human means feeling everything. It means having days where you don't have the answers. Days where you feel lost, tired, overwhelmed. And that doesn't make you weak. It makes you real. I know you're used to being the one who holds everything together. The one people rely on, the one who never lets anyone down. But my love, who is holding you together, who is making sure that you're okay. Because you deserve that too. You deserve someone who sees through your strength and still chooses to stay. Someone who understands that behind your calm voice, there's a storm you've been managing alone. You don't have to prove anything anymore. Not your strength, not your worth. Not your ability to endure pain. You've already done enough, more than enough. And maybe, just maybe, it's time you let yourself feel what you've been holding back for so long. Not all at once. Not in a way that overwhelms you. But slowly, gently, like someone learning how to breathe again after holding it in for too long. Because you don't have to suffocate just to survive. You don't have to pretend you're okay when you're not. You don't have to keep carrying everything just because you always have. You're allowed to pause. You're allowed to feel tired. You're allowed to say, I can't do this today. And the world won't end because of it. In fact, it might finally give you the space you've been needing all along. You've spent so much of your life being there for others. Being their strength, their comfort, their safe place. But now, you deserve that same kind of love. The kind that doesn't expect you to be perfect. The kind that doesn't need you to be strong all the time. The kind that simply says, you can rest now, I've got you. And maybe you're not used to hearing that. Maybe you don't even know how to accept it. Because when you've been strong for so long, letting go can feel unfamiliar, even scary. But you don't have to be afraid of it. You don't have to carry everything alone anymore. Not every burden is yours to hold. Not every pain is yours to fix. And not every moment requires you to be strong. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is to admit that you're tired. My love, even the strongest hearts get tired. And I need you to hear that, not as a weakness, but as a truth you've been denying for far too long. You've built this image of yourself, someone who never breaks, someone who always stands tall, someone who can carry pain without letting it show. And maybe the world applauded you for it. Maybe people admired your strength, depended on it, leaned on it like it would never run out. But what they never stopped to ask was, what happens when your strength starts to feel like a burden? Because strength, when it's constant, when it never gets a moment to rest, stops feeling like power and starts feeling like pressure. And you've been under that pressure for so long. I can see it in the way your eyes sometimes lose their light, in the way your voice carries a softness that wasn't always there, in the way you pause, like you're holding back something you don't want the world to see. You don't say it, but I know. You're tired, not the kind of tired that sleep can fix. Not the kind that goes away after a long day. This is deeper than that. It's the kind of tired that settles into your heart, the kind that comes from always being the strong one, the one who has to understand, who has to forgive, who has to keep going no matter what. And somewhere along the way, you started believing that if you stopped, even for a moment, everything would fall apart. So you didn't stop. You kept going, even when your soul was asking you to slow down. You kept smiling, even when your heart felt heavy. You kept giving, even when you had nothing left to give. And now here you are, exhausted in ways you can't fully explain. Because even the strongest hearts have limits, and ignoring those limits doesn't make you stronger. It just makes the fall harder when you can't hold it in anymore. You see, strength isn't about how long you can endure pain without breaking. It's about knowing when to let yourself feel it, but no one ever taught you that, did they? They only saw your resilience, your ability to stay calm in chaos, your way of holding everything together. And they thought you're okay. So they kept coming to you, with their problems, their pain, their expectations. And you carried it all. like it was your responsibility to fix everything. But my loves, who told you that you had to carry the weight of the world just because you're capable of it? Capability doesn't mean obligation. Just because you can handle it doesn't mean you always should. Even the strongest hearts need a moment to breathe. And you haven't given yourself that moment in a long time. You've been holding everything in so tightly that even your own emotions feel like strangers to you now. You don't cry the way you used to. You don't open up the way you want to. You don't let yourself be vulnerable, because somewhere inside you're afraid that if you do, you might not be able to put yourself back together again. But listen to me. You don't have to hold yourself together all the time. You don't have to be unshakable, because being strong doesn't mean you never feel pain. It doesn't mean you never get overwhelmed. It doesn't mean you have to carry everything without breaking. It means you're human, and you're still here, even after everything you've been through. And that is more than enough. I know you've been trying to protect yourself, trying to keep everything inside so you don't fall apart in front of the wrong people. But in doing that, you've also been keeping yourself from the peace you deserve. Because healing doesn't happen when you hide your pain. It happens when you allow yourself to feel it, when you give yourself permission to not be okay. And I know that's hard for you, because you've spent so much time being the one who fixes things, the one who comforts others, the one who always has the answers, that you forgot what it feels like to need someone. But needing someone doesn't make you weak. It doesn't take away your strength. If anything, it makes you stronger, because it means you trust enough to let someone see the real you. Not the strong version, not the composed version, but the honest version. The one who gets tired, the one who feels overwhelmed, the one who sometimes just wants to stop and breathe and not have to carry anything for a while. And that version of you deserves love just as much as the strong one does. Maybe even more. Because that's the part of you that you've been neglecting. The part that's been quietly waiting for you to acknowledge it. The part that's been whispering, I can't keep doing this alone. And you don't have to anymore. You don't have to keep proving how strong you are. You've already proven it. In every silent battle you fought. In every moment you chose to keep going. In every time you held yourself together when everything inside you was breaking. That's strength, real strength, but now, it's okay to rest. It's okay to let your guard down, even just a little. It's okay to admit that you're tired, because pretending you're not won't make the exhaustion go away. It will only bury it deeper, until one day it becomes too heavy to carry. And I don't want that for you. I don't want you to reach a point where you feel like you have nothing left. I don't want you to lose yourself, just because you were trying to be everything for everyone else. You deserve balance. You deserve peace. You deserve moments where you don't have to be strong, where you don't have to think, where you don't have to carry anything at all. Just breathe. Just exist. Just be. And maybe that feels unfamiliar to you. Maybe you don't even know how to do that anymore, but that's okay. You don't have to figure it out all at once. Just start by being honest with yourself. Start by admitting, I'm tired, not as a complaint, not as a failure, but as a truth that deserves to be heard, a truth that deserves to be acknowledged. Because ignoring it doesn't make you stronger. It just makes you lonelier, and you don't have to be lonely in this. You don't have to carry everything alone. You don't have to keep pretending that you're okay when you're not. Because even the strongest hearts need someone who sees their exhaustion and chooses to stay anyway. Someone who doesn't expect perfection. Someone who doesn't demand strength. Someone who simply says, you don't have to be strong right now. And maybe that's all you've been needing this whole time. My loves, you don't always have to hold everything together. And I wish someone had told you that sooner, before you made it a rule you live by, before it became the way you survive. Because somewhere along the way, you convinced yourself that if you loosen your grip, even a little, everything around you will fall apart. So you tightened it. You held on to your emotions, your responsibilities, your pain, your fears, like if you didn't, the world would collapse right in front of you. And maybe at first, it felt like strength. Maybe it gave you control. Maybe it helped you get through things you didn't think you could survive. But now it feels different, doesn't it? Now it feels heavy. Now it feels like you're holding together pieces that were never meant to be carried by one heart alone. You've been the glue in so many places. The one who fixes things. The one who keeps the peace. The one who steps in when everything else is falling apart. But my love, who told you that it's your job to hold everything together? Who made you believe that if you stop, even for a moment, you're failing? Because you're not, you were never meant to carry this much. You were never meant to be the answer to everyone's chaos while quietly ignoring your own. And I know letting go doesn't come easy to you. Because when you've spent so much time holding everything together, letting go feels like losing control. It feels like weakness, it feels like risk, but what if? What if letting go, even just a little, isn't weakness at all? What if it's the beginning of something softer, something real, something you've been denying yourself for too long? Because holding everything together, all the time, doesn't leave space for you to feel. It doesn't leave space for you to breathe. It turns your life into a constant effort, a constant pressure, a constant need to stay composed, even when everything inside you is asking to break free. And you've been so good at it. So good at hiding the cracks. So good at pretending that nothing is slipping. That even when you're falling apart, no one notices. But I do. I see the way your silence lingers a little longer than it should. I see the way your eyes search for something, even when you don't know what it is. I see the weight you carry, even when you don't speak about it. And I need you to know. You don't have to keep doing this to yourself. You don't have to hold everything together just to prove that you're strong. Because strength isn't about control. It's not about never breaking, never slipping, never letting anything fall out of place. Real strength is knowing when to loosen your grip. It's knowing when to say, this is too much for me right now. It's allowing yourself to step back, to breathe, to exist without the pressure of fixing everything around you. And I know that scares you, because what if things actually do fall apart? What if people expect more from you? What if you're not there to fix it and everything changes? But my love, some things are not yours to fix. Some things are not yours to carry. And some things need to fall apart so they can rebuild in a way that doesn't break you in the process. You've been holding on so tightly, to people, to situations, to expectations, that you've forgotten what it feels like to simply let things be. To trust that not everything depends on you. To believe that you're allowed to exist without constantly proving your worth through effort and sacrifice. You are not responsible for everything. You are not the solution to every problem. And you are not required to hold everything together just because you've always been the one who could. Because the truth is, the more you try to hold everything together, the more you start to lose pieces of yourself in the process. And I don't want that for you. I don't want you to become so focused on keeping everything else from falling apart that you don't realize you're the one slowly breaking inside. You matter too, your peace matters, your feelings matter. And you deserve moments where you don't have to carry anything at all. Moments where you can just exist, without expectations, without pressure, without the need to be the strong one. You deserve to feel safe enough. To let go. To let your guard down, even if it's just for a little while. To not have all the answers, to not have everything under control. Because control isn't what will save you, peace will. And peace doesn't come from holding everything together. It comes from knowing that you don't have to, that it's okay if things aren't perfect. That it's okay if you don't have it all figured out. That it's okay if you step back and let life unfold, without trying to manage every outcome. You've been living like you have to carry the world. But you don't, you really don't. And I know a part of you still believes that if you stop, if you finally let go, You might fall too, but maybe falling isn't the end. Maybe it's the moment you finally stop pretending. The moment you finally feel. The moment you finally allow yourself to be human again. Because you've been so strong for so long that you forgot you're allowed to be held too.